If you're not in personal development, you're making a huge mistake. There's one person in 2 years that's in personal development, that's you. And then there's another person, that's you, that is in personal development in 2 years. They're two completely different people. And the one that works on personal development is going to be significantly more powerful and capable to help others and to help themselves and to be more successful than if they had not.
Welcome back to another episode on Find Joy with Joyanne, the podcast that is all about helping you live and lead a life with joy. I'm your host, Joyanne Chan, and every Wednesday we are giving you access to the world's best and brightest minds in their fields on our show. Listen in as these leaders impart their wisdom, inspiration, and stories to empower you to live joyfully with intention, passion, and purpose, and celebrate the struggles and overcome the challenges we may face each day with the tools and insights that we are going to share with you. Whether you are looking to improve your relationship, find your passion, learn how to embrace the present moment, deepen your spiritual connection, or learn the magic of manifestation and law of attraction to attract more abundance, this podcast is here to guide you every step of the way. As your host, I am also challenging myself to dig deeper to learn and unlearn and ride along with you. We are not here to tell you how to live your life because it is your life. But this life is all that we have right now. So my friend, why not live our life to the fullest? So I hope these conversations and stories will guide and inspire you to live your life to your highest potential and a life that you are proud of as you continue to grow and evolve in your own journey. So if you are ready to start living a more passionate, purposeful, and joyful life, join us every Wednesday on Find Joy with Joyanne for inspirational stories, powerful message, fun conversations, and empowering thoughts with me and my special guests and friends. And now, without further ado, let's dive into today's episode. In a world where quick fixes and empty promises abound, he stands out as the catalyst for profound transformation. He's the man who is about to take your personal development to unparalleled heights. He's not just a fitness and nutrition coach, he's your personal guide to achieving greatness in mind, body, and soul. His hardcore transformation system isn't your run-of-the-mill fitness program. It's a comprehensive lifestyle revolution designed to empower you to become the best version of yourself. It's a system built on science, motivation, and unwavering support. With hundreds of success stories under his belt, his unique approach has transformed the lives of countless individuals. He's here today to empower you to take control of your life, break free from mediocrity, and embrace the best version of yourself. So guys, help me in welcoming the highly motivated fitness professional, Brendan Angel. Hi, Brendan. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good morning to you. Where are you from? Where are you tuning in from?
I'm contacting you here from Panama, the mountains of Panama, Central America right now, but I'm originally from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Wow, that's so cool. Wow, you're literally on the other side of the world right now. So I know you have a very interesting story, and I don't know about your story at all. I don't know you at all, right? And this is the first time that we are talking. So I would love for you to tell us a bit about your backstory, because I know you know actually had like PTSD, you lost a child, things like that. So tell us about that.
Okay, so I grew up pretty hardcore, right? My parents dropped the ball, and eventually I ended up in just this really hardcore street life. And then, I kind of met some dangerous people through that. One of them was my child's mother, right? One of the most dangerous people, actually. You wouldn't have saw it coming, but some people are willing to use their own children to bring down fathers, right? I was a superstar in this life, kind of, and then I eventually, once I found out I was having a child, I joined the military to get out of that life and just take a hard right turn to get on the right road and make sure she had the doctor all paid for and in her life for her first 4 years and everything like that. Um, And then as I was deployed in 2005 to Iraq, she had basically done her first kidnapping, where she went to a judge and said, I don't know where this guy is, sanction him for more money, let me get money from the state, because they wreck the eggs to get the checks, right? So it's this hardcore thing where they kidnap your kid, they brainwash them to hate you, and they get paid by 4 different agencies to do it, right? And if they make false claims, then guess what? They get more handouts and more protections and aids and stuff like that. So that would go on for several years, and I was able to maintain a relationship with my child until she was 10 years old. And at that time, she couldn't stop saying, my daddy this and my daddy that. Well, the new boyfriend comes along. Here, an ex-girlfriend of mine at the time was just like, you better be careful, because she's saying my daddy this, my daddy that so much. She's making it very clear that your life is much better than theirs, right? And so and then lo and behold, the prophecy came true. And when I was down here in Panama, receiving my uncle's body, who had been shot, long story short, but I will try to compress this. I was coming here to handle those remains, and she had found out that she could lie to the DCSE agency and say she never received money, when I've never been late or missed any money. But they locked me out of the country, and so I couldn't come back in. And then so it's like I basically just got, I wasn't brainwashed to hate my daughter. So the pain of losing your 10-year-old princess that you've invested all this, they just your kid, it just sent me into this crazy depression where I couldn't move. I couldn't think a complete thought. I couldn't do basic things like go to the bathroom, make myself some food. But angels came in and saved me, and then got kind of really was able to put a few steps forward. But then it was up to me to save myself, right? And thank God I had physical fitness on my own before that, because of the military and because of the streets previously. Everybody in Albuquerque, New Mexico, growing up in the 90s had to be pretty tough if you're a young man, right? So I kind of fell back on that, and then I fell into this hardcore fitness program led by Wes Watson, and that really revolutionized things to the next level, which is where I'm at now. Right. And as you proceed through this really hardcore level of non-negotiably fixing your problems around people, and we have a Zoom group as well, right, that people can come into, around other people who are fixing your problems, because you'll quickly realize once you've overcome real problems, you really need a community of people who have overcome real big problems, because people who have not just don't understand quite the same way. So coming into a community of people who are following a program, right, that has been well established and has well results is just hugely, immensely powerful. I can't tell you enough. So find that program that resonates with you and get with those people who have overcome those challenges that you're trying to overcome now, especially when there are those challenges that will floor you. A lot of personal development I've found is a solo mission. So like I tell my guys, a lot of this, you really need to go to nature on your own. You need to do that gym visit on your own. You need to lace up your shoes and get out and run on your own at some point. But the group self-development environment is also highly powerful and highly important. And it's where I've learned most of my tools that I take back onto that solo mission. So these things are missing from our lives and lifestyles right now. When you go to school, no one's talking about any of this, right? No one cares what problems or trauma you just had. There's really no open door for you to just go through and deal with that, right? In fact, a lot of modern culture would have you just not deal with it at all. But I can say that as that grows on you, you can become a person that you don't want to be. So even if you're not in personal development now, you should get you should get yourself into personal development just as soon as possible. And a huge part of that is fitness. That's another thing that we're missing. If you think about nature, natural evolution of things, one, we had a very diverse diet. You know, there was no bowl of rice, there was no cornfield in the evolutionary sense, because these are monoculture installations that we have come up with, right? So a diverse natural diet is important. Clean water is important. Many times the water doesn't turn out to be so clean in certain places. So these are things that we don't think or know about necessarily. But if we can come into your excellent podcast, Joy, and hear this stuff, then maybe we can start to go look for those components and add them to our life to be super successful and super bulletproof to problems that may come, because you don't see the truck before it hits you, or at least anyone who's been hit by a truck didn't usually see the truck before it hits them. And life has some trucks, right?
Yeah, problems are inevitable. It's how we deal with it, right? How we deal with challenges, how we deal with setbacks, how we deal with failures. That is what define who we are as human being, as a person. I'm so glad that I asked the question, because your story is so inspirational. So how did you transform your life? I know you mentioned about some, angels helping you, but how did you, because ultimately we are the one who is here to save us. Like you said, right? We have to save ourselves. What was the moment that you had that realization that, this is enough? I'm gonna, this is not who I am. I'm gonna change, my life. This is not my life. But is there a moment in your life when you made that decision?
It was gradual. There was no switch moment. It was a compilation of moments. And that's what I think it's going to end up being really for a lot of people. There might have been a needle on the haystack, but I can really pinpoint all the needles that should have been on the haystack that weren't. Like all the things that happened that should have pushed me into that next thing that wasn't. I think really what could have happened is I could have just decided inside, or I could have seen a piece of media like this, which I wasn't paying attention to, because in my crazy head at that time, that, when this happened, a fuse block went blue. And I tell people, try to lay on a concrete floor and have someone stand on the side of your head and think a complete thought. That was kind of what it was like. It was like this roof. However, that being said, if someone showed me a piece of media like this, or a piece of media like the one I saw, you know what I mean? The Wes Watson videos, when he first got out of jail, this guy, he didn't have a program or anything. He was just making videos. So to see that information, oh, a 2:45 a.m. wake up time, that's actually perfect for me, because forget the nightlife. I'm down way before that. I get up super early and just work on myself. So it really was just a compilation of baby steps that I found from different sources. But again, if looking back, if someone could have went and intervened, or by some divine intervention where I had seen some media or gotten a direction or found out about this program that he had earlier, because I know the guy, but I didn't know the program, that he was offering a program until years after he was offering the program. But yeah, I would say definitely, if I could have gone back and gotten into a program sooner, there's a regret there. Let's just say
Right.
that I didn't.
So let's talk about those people that are not, they are very comfortable, they are in their comfort zone, they do not have a fitness routine, they do not have a program, they are not in a community, or they have not done any personal development work. What and they are just like living a mediocre life, and which is fine, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But how would you help those people to really go to the next level and break through, and break free from their limitation and really achieve greatness in their life, if they don't feel motivated to do it?
I would tell them that they're in trouble, because we're in a toxic society and it's dangerous. And if you're not putting protection on, if you're not learning, if you're just taking what they give you, you're even in the diet system and the water system and the informational system and the cultural practice system, they're just feeding you complete toxin. We're in such a toxic society right now. If you're not in personal development, you're making a huge mistake. There's one person in 2 years that's in personal development, that's you. And then there's another person, that's you, that is in personal development in 2 years. They're two completely different people. And the one that works on personal development is going to be significantly more powerful and capable to help others and to help themselves and to be more successful than if they had not. For sure.
So what is your definition of personal development?
Okay, personal development is just working on yourself. It's taking dedicated time and working on yourself. And now we're in an age that we're really at a perfect time right now to do personal development, because you've got all these different sources to draw from, as far back as ancient times. Marcus Aurelius Meditations, right, is the Bible for my little club. Just keep that thing in the gym bag. It's perfect with the little passages that you can start to read from little by little. I recommend that as a starting place, as well as quote books that have like quotes from the greats, because it's a quick read. You can take it in, you can sit on it, and you can ponder it. But beyond that, there's all the modern stars: Wes Watson, Tony Robbins, Andy Frisella. There's a whole bunch of different people in fitness spaces and in spiritual spaces. But for me, that was another thing to answer your previous question, is like, if I didn't have the previous fitness knowledge and foundation that I had before going into this, I would be like a majority of the people that go through this and still not recovered, suicided, incarcerated, homeless, drug addicted, because that's what happens to parents who have their kids kidnapped from them and brainwashed to hate them as a way to bring them down. And then now that there's so many benefits in the United States for doing this. There's 22 million estimated kids. Of course, these child agencies that should never have a name of a child on their desk at all, because they have no quality insurance. So we don't know how many people are going through this meat grinder, but it's an estimated 22 million.
Yeah. So now you're running your own fitness company or program, I would say. Why did you start your own business? What motivated you?
Well, that's a step in self-development, right? What you really want to do, if you look at nature, you become your best, so that you can help the younger ones. You know what I mean? So that you can procreate and help the younger ones, the ones that are behind you, or your children usually, right? Or the younger dogs in the pack, right? Or the weaker dogs in the pack. You keep them strong, right? That's what entities in nature are doing, all of them, right? No one's really trying to kill members of their family and stuff like that in nature, or use them for their own benefit or anything like that. They're actually building themselves to be the best that they can, and then giving that away to their pack or their community or to nature in general. So now I've gotten myself to the point where I need to start helping other people. That's the next step in my own personal development and personal progress, right? And what better job to have, and what better need in the world right now than to do this with this strong recipe that I know is going to work for people, you know what I mean? To come from their absolute worst things that people just cannot take today in the world, and become an actual best leader to where they're respected by everyone around them, and it has to do with the recipe, the discipline, and you'll get that discipline by coming into Zoom with me, staying on the phone by me, being accountable to me, just like a wolf in the pack, you know what I'm saying? And then now you can go out and be a wolf to others, or an alpha wolf to others, and lead them and sharpen their blades and claws so that they're able to separate and survive, right?
It's all about paying it forward. I love that, because I remember reading it somewhere. You mentioned that coming back is the best way. I mean, coming back is to help others, right? Your comeback is to help others, is to serve others. And I love that. So what would someone expect if they were to join your program? Like maybe you can take us through the different stages, or what would they expect, how you work with them, what are some of the results they will achieve at the end of your program while working with you?
Yeah, well, we're just gonna jump on the phone with each other just like this.
Okay.
We're gonna get to know each other. We're gonna get to know your needs, and then I'm gonna hold you accountable for what you need to do. All the things we're gonna assess what you specifically need to do to improve yourself,
Okay.
what things you need to overcome emotionally, right? And a big part of this accountability is going to be fitness. So I'm going to have a prescription for you to get in the best shape because it's a complete package thing. This isn't just, no, I want to be a lazy piece of crap on the couch, but emotionally work on myself. No, you have to do a complete, I'm going to be the best version of me. And here's the steps to do that. And here's the steps that the best people on the planet are doing right now. So it'll be a combination of these personal steps just for you and these steps that we do every day. So every single day, all the people in my group, they're up at 3 a.m. We're in a burpee class together where we're doing, you don't have to do every burpee with me, but you have to be there, and so you show up to the burpee class, and we're going to do some ridiculous stuff that Navy SEALs might even say, okay, this looks serious. You're not going to think at first that you're ever going to be able to catch up with the class, but you will, and everyone in the class is going to go around in the beginning. Remember, because we are pack animals, actually. We do need that group experience. And right now, that is one big thing, at least in the United States culture, that's being removed, right? In
Yeah.
every little way, people are just becoming more isolated and more isolated and more isolated. And let me clarify, that's good. Isolation is good. You can get a lot of stuff done in isolation, but to have that group community and the positive direction completely removed is a scary situation. I feel that that person's in danger, right? So we provide that as far as um, yeah, and it's daily. It's daily, every single day. There's no drinking, there's no toxins. If you really want to work on yourself and you've dealt with enough toxic stuff, it's because you've dealt with enough toxic stuff usually. So most of the people here, just in life factors outside their control, their toxic meters are already on full. So there's none of that. You have to show up every day. There's no hangovers. There's nothing really unnatural. It's just natural. You did good, total positive energy, and people who have done a lot of self-development regulate that. Where can you go in the world right now and hang out with a lot of people, and where even in the smaller groups of people where the main leader's not there, you have several others that are very well personal developed. I mean, dedicated personal development wizard on top of the hill for several years. I mean, where do you find that in society right now? You can't. You got to come directly to someone like me or someone like one of my associates and get in with this group and start powerhousing forward. Whoa.
Yeah, I totally agree, right? And I love when you said, isolation is good because we always think isolation is bad, right? But you get stuff done, right? You mentioned, right? Yeah, so because you don't have any distraction, you get to work on yourself. And I really love that because it's something that I have not heard anyone said that before. So how do you do? Of course, we cannot change people, right? And of course, we can surround ourselves with positive people, highly motivated people, but still there are people who are really toxic and negative. How do you deal with these people in your life? Do you just stay away from them, or how do you deal with that?
Oh, well, yeah, 1000%. If they're a super toxic person, you have to go completely cut them from your life. Like the Bible says, if it's a bad instance and it's my arm, I'll chew it off, right? All these people in my groups, they have closets full of arms. Really, I mean, you have to cut the toxins out because otherwise it will corrupt the body.
Right. But don't you have the thought of maybe you can change them, or maybe you can influence them, or make them a bit more positive?
Yeah, yeah. If you're not toxically involved,
Right.
right? If you're a separate entity from the situation, most like cultural toxin is drama, right? It's
Mm.
some usually it's they use the term psychopath and narcissist clinically. but let's just say a person who's willing to do unto others a lot of things that they don't want done to themselves, right?
Right.
There is a person like that. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot more than we think as good people who don't do unto others things that we don't want done to ourselves, right? But there's people out there, and they're not going to come up and say, "Hey, I'm a liar. Hey, I'm abusive." They're not going to tell you that. They'll be in sheep's clothing, right? And so you got to be very careful. And then let's just say, if you're not associated with the toxic person and they come into personal development of this level, but they're a toxic person like the one I'm describing, I feel like that's almost so rare it's impossible, because these people that are like that are so fake. To turn to a hardcore personal develop thing where they have to do the burpees. And I'm actually thinking of somebody, I think if they do come in to just see how manipulative they can successfully be or whatever, I am thinking of a person that you'll get weeded out so fast, because it's so clear at that point when you're in a room full of people in that dedicated
Yeah.
way. I think I might have answered a different question than you asked. What was the question you asked?
It's okay. Yeah, I think you answered the question perfectly. I have a lot of energy, and I think it's 6 something in the morning, right? How do you get your, like, what is your fitness routine? I would love to hear that.
Yeah, well, it's cyclic. It's cyclic. When you do personal development, you generate much more energy than a person that doesn't, because we're constantly winning. And that those wins can be small. I went to bed early. I didn't go party. I don't feel guilty. You know what I'm saying? I went to bed early. I got up early. I got up earlier than the whole world, winning. You know what I mean? I got up. I did burpees with savages early in the morning, winning. Before the people are just rubbing their eyes, we're already done. You see what I'm saying? Winning. And we went around the room and say, "Hey man, you're doing good. It's good to see you." Ah, and you're a part of this thing where you feel where you feel like you're the few, the select special few at the top. And you are. And you are. There's no faking in personal development. That's the thing. You're gonna be real, you're gonna get real result, at least with me, you know. And you're gonna really feel better, and you're gonna really generate a whole bunch of more energy and brain power and physical power than the normal person who's watching the Netflix and sucking in the toxins left and right and not paying attention to the things that they really need to do to become their best.
Yeah, wow, that's so powerful. So what was the question that I want to ask? I have one last question. Okay, so don't you have a day when you wake up and you are just so goddamn tired and you don't want to go to the gym, you don't want to meet your clients, just don't want to do, you just want to stay in bed and maybe sleep for another 1 hour. Don't you have a day like that? And how did you then push yourself and really do the things that even you don't want to do?
I have days like that all the time. And the way I push through is I've been studying with all my guys and gals that are hardcore about that day, about how that day where it's more difficult is
Yeah.
so important, because when you push through anyway on that day, that's when you really sharpen your blade. So when you look at that day as the day of the grindy stone that you can grab, pull your 1,000-pound legs out of bed. Like, I know depression,
Yeah.
to, hurt me, but don't hurt my kid to hurt me. That, you know what I mean? Don't hurt my kid to hurt me, and you're my kid's mother. Holy moly. You know what I mean? Who's in the bar every weekend, who's a meth addict, who's running around doing all this, you know what I'm saying? So that's pain. That will cause depression. That's a toxic injection like no other. Trust me. And anyone who goes through it completely takes the nosedive. So those are really my people. I have to say that in every piece of media I do, right? But yeah, definitely. If you're going through hardcore personal parental alienation, like, I can help you out of that. And I wish there was someone like me back before. And that's the thing. That's the key. Be the person you needed. Be the person you needed. Gosh, that's a strong person. That's going to be hard to beat. Yeah, that's what you got to be. Be the person you needed. And to get to that hard place, use that day that's hardest to get out of bed to sharpen your blade. So do everything anyway and double it.
Right. It gets me goosebumps when you mention that, be the person that you needed the most when you were lost, when you were depressed, or, Yeah, exactly. This is why we need to keep pushing ourselves and becoming the better version of ourselves every single day so that we can be the person that we needed, that we didn't have for someone else. Thank you so much for sharing. Is there any last piece of message you want to share with my listeners before we move on to the final section of our podcast?
As far as like what website links or something like that,
Yeah, we can talk
or
about that, but maybe something, maybe one action. Do you want, like, what something that you want them to do right now, today, to become the best version of themselves?
early morning wake up, number one, and I'll give you number two as well, burpees. Get up at 2:45 a.m. There's actually an anciently recognized special time of reflection 1 hour after that. So if you get up at 2:40 and you give yourself an hour to wake up, 3:40 is like a recognized downloading time. The Incas knew about it, ancient Asia knew about it, right? And ancient India has the actual time logged. But this early morning section of the day, as you prepare for the sun to come up, and the Incas used to be outside singing to it with their hands up as it rose, right? So, sunlight is a huge source of vitamins that we're depleted of. One of the biggest supplements on the shelf is vitamin D. But
Yeah.
if you just get out of the office for a few more hours, you know what I mean? You won't need that supplement. Interesting, and you'll be converting other material into that vitamin in a much more natural way, the way that you were God intended to do so. So I would say definitely the early morning wake up, do some burpees, and then get out in front of the sun and show your appreciation for this beautiful life that you have. Because just keep giving to the world and watch how the world gives back.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing and taking your time out to be with us today. Now, we always end with our final 5 rapid fire questions. So these are the 5 questions that I ask all my guests at the end of the show. And every question has to be answered in 1 word or 1 sentence maximum.
Copy that.
First question is, what is one thing you wish you knew earlier?
Personal development.
Love it. If you could live your life all over again, what would you do differently?
Nothing.
Wow. Wow. I love how you think for a long time and then said nothing. I love that. Yeah, you really think about that, but nothing to change. What is something you're trying to learn or curious about right now?
Computers.
Ah, yeah, you told me you are not good with computers, right?
I know a couple programs really well because I was a doodle artist when I was a kid. So it's not true to say that I don't know. I know a few programs well, but just to bring the whole computing thing together is I get lost a lot.
Right. Yeah, you can always hire someone to do it for you.
4 hours of your day gone, right? Like
Yeah,
Googling how to do one little thing, someone could do it in a millisecond. Well, okay.
exactly. Yeah. If you had 5 minutes and the whole world was listening to you, what would you say?
Come join me for personal development. Nothing is really needed other than that. I'm not interested in doing other things, but my part in nature, helping others.
Beautiful. The last question is, what brings you the greatest joy?
Personal development.
I love it. I love that
Nature.
how you are. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
nature's the other one. Music, personal development, nature, music. I would think anything that seems to key you into vibrations. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Now tell my listeners where they can find you online or connect with you or even join your program. Where is the best place to find you?
Okay, Brandon Angel Fitness on Instagram, Brandon Angel Fitness 0007 on YouTube, and then BrandonAngelFitness.com.
Awesome. Yeah. All right, guys, go follow Brendan, go to his website, connect with him, and thank him for coming to our show today. You can find all the links in the show note below. I put all his links in the show note below, so make sure you go and check it out. And follow us on Instagram as well at findjoyjoin_podcast. If you haven't already, remember to subscribe so you don't miss any other new episode coming every Wednesday. And I will always leave you the same way as I leave you with every other episode. show up. The world needs you and you need you. Thanks for listening, and I wish you all a joyful and amazing day ahead. Thank you again for tuning to Find Joy with Joyanne podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, you can help support this podcast in one of three ways. 1. Take a screenshot of this episode and share it on your IG story and tag me at findjoywithjoyanne_podcast so I can repost and connect with you. 2. Share this podcast with a friend or a family member. And 3. Leave a positive review on Apple Podcasts so we can continue to grow and reach more listeners worldwide. Make sure you also subscribe so you don't miss out on any episode coming Wednesday. Thanks for being here, and I will see you soon in the next episode.